So, hi Ben. First of all, I'd like to thank you for the donation. It really means a lot to me. For anybody that might be listening and for yourself, this is a completely cold read on your jiu-jitsu and things to improve on. So I've not previewed the video on any way except I scrolled to the end because I knew you said you'd won this match rather easily, and I just figured out which one was you, which I have determined was the black gi. So this first match you said was against a slightly less experienced opponent. So I may or may not have that much to say when you just win fairly easily. So let's check it out. All right. So you look fairly comfortable from the stand-up given your experience level. This is good. Little problem here. So this is a little bit dangerous in this situation because you see right here your lead leg is really out quite close to his. You guys are like very close to touching knees, and this can easily just come in and snatch up a single leg right here. So you want to be a little bit more careful about like distance management when you tie up. And I noticed that you're using no-gi grips, and there's nothing particularly wrong with that. I would prefer that if we have the gi on to use the collar grips and things like that. It's a little bit more control. It's just a bit like wrestling, but turbocharged when you use the grips on the collars. But nothing wrong per se as far as the tie-ups. I would just prefer a collar grip. So let's see what your idea here is. Clearly your idea is not to pull guard, because you can already sense that, because you're not going in there and making grips and maybe hoping for the right grips for you to pull guard. You're not doing that. So it looks like you have a takedown strategy. Reaching for a single leg. So I have something to say, but I'm just kind of holding off. Ooh, this could go very badly. It can go well too, but that could have gone very badly. So what I was waiting for in that silence is I was like hoping to see what your A takedown was, because you should have like one or maybe two really strong takedowns that you go for. This looks like, yeah, this is tricky. This could have gone wrong in a lot of different ways. Anytime you kind of go for trips like this, you really want to do them a lot quicker. You don't want to just linger about, because this can be countered in a whole bunch of different areas. But it wasn't. You got the takedown, and it did the job. So I think relatively speaking, not too terrible. So nice. Takedown directly into knee on belly. Now from the dominant positions, I'm a little bit less interested in, because the matches and where competitive jiu-jitsu exists is in the stand-up, passing guard, and defending guard. So let me skip ahead. So it looks like you're just controlling the match very well. Let's see what happens in this little scramble here. So this knee on belly, let's take a look at this. So this posting foot is a little bit too high. So your base could be compromised in this type of position. You want it a little bit lower. I wonder if that's why you lose the position. If you, kind of working for the back, the high risk back take, which it looks like just given the time remaining, it looked like it works out for you. Time remaining in the video, that is. Yeah, but this gives him that gave him a lot of space to be able to recover, and kind of came from that instability that I was talking about. It was like you had an idea to take his back by sitting, not really a solid option in that particular position to try and sit and take the back. We'd much rather do it on more of our terms instead of reactionary. So good job using the choke as a distraction. I don't think I've contributed anything too valuable at this point, but I am learning about your game, and that's one thing that I really like about doing like a cold analysis, is that I learn about your game, and as we continue on and look at the matches, we can come up with some things. So okay, so very good, relatively speaking, for your skill level. You went and did the job, and it more or less just went every way that you could possibly hope for. So let's take a look at this second match here. Let me close this out. And so he said this was against a more skilled opponent, which I'm anxious to see. 3:02 on the total time. So it looks like you did pretty well for yourself. Analysis number 1. Tell your friends to zoom in, whoever's filming this thing. Gosh, you guys are ants. So this guy comes charging in with a double leg or something that's never going to work. And you did a very good job of stuffing the shoulders. Actually, stuffing the shoulders is one of the more useful techniques in getting your legs back, which you did very well. And then double collar grip. So, I'm like I said before, I'm anxious to see your primary takedown. And he just ends up pulling guard as you working for an underhook. Oh, come on, scramble. So it looks like here, okay, I'm starting to get into some of the more fundamental weaknesses of your game. And you kind of saw this in the takedown in the first match. And this situation here, where we need to use a little athleticism. In these types of scrambly spots, we need to learn how to turn it on and really, really kind of scramble out. Because this was definitely, you just get up and use a little athleticism to bring it back to neutral, so he's not going to get this sweep. So a lot of this is not so much technical, this type of idea. A lot of it is psychological and creating the conditions in your mind that allow your body to explode. Now, jiu-jitsu has this pacing that's often explode and relax, explode and relax. And knowing when to explode comes with experience. But also, if I can identify it, you need to create the psychological condition to be able to explode. So I think a lot of this, like, for example, if you know a stove is hot and your hand's coming close, you are going to instinctively pull back your hand rather quickly because you've been burned in your childhood a few times. I think being burned in these positions, getting scored on, trying a takedown that was a little slow and then it got countered, I think that's going to develop that kind of instinct and reflex to explode in this area. Now, talking more about the psychology needed to be able to do this, it's very tricky because I find that nice people generally have a lot of difficulty with this concept of being assertive and explode at the correct times. If I had to guess, I'd say you're a nice person, just judging by your jiu-jitsu. It's not like overly assertive, it's not overly physical, and that'll be something that you'll need to work on. And on the opposite side of things, sometimes I get students that are way aggressive. They don't really think through the positions, and they have trouble just kind of slowing down and thinking. So this isn't generic advice just for anybody. This is specifically tailored to your jiu-jitsu here and what you'll need to overcome. It's very similar to what I needed to overcome. I always had all of my explosion and super toughness in defensive situations. And it was very difficult for me through the years to create like the psychology needed to be assertive just on your own without responding to something. So just sharing a little bit about my personal journey. Okay, so it looks like our position is quite compromised after this sweep. So he gets up. Now there's a good chance that he's going to be able to pass your guard. You have a shin across the chest and you're going to need to really explode here to be able to just get some stability in your position. And you are framing. If you ever had the sensation of like in your brain, in the first person, in this scenario, this is you right here, your eyes looking out, in your brain, you're moving so fast. And then you watch it on video and it's like, wow, I'm not really moving at all. This is the time to really get a set of wheels under you because your position is compromised and you need to get back to stability. So just like a frame and a shin across the chest isn't going to stop them. You need to really hip escape and pummel in the other leg with urgency. Otherwise, you're going to die. That's the kind of intensity that you need to approach these positions. At the higher level, if somebody gets, maybe not quite, gets to this type of compromised distance on my end in the guard, you are in so trouble. So just food for thought. That stove is going to burn you unless you move. You got to move. Still, we have not reached a position of stability. Like you're still trying to fish up for the half guard, and here you get the half guard, but this is not an acceptable position. This is a losing position. So it looks just, I don't know the rule set that we're undergoing here, but it looks like IBJJF rules, given the fact that he just awarded an advantage. So I'm just going to assume IBJJF rules here. So this position stinks. A lot of people don't understand this, and I don't know where your mindset is on rules and everything, but a lot of people are like, oh, this person's hunting for advantages and things like this. So the half guard with clinch is worth 1 advantage, and that's for a reason. And that's because this position is horrible. It's a horrible, horrible position. And I think at the younger belts, you don't quite, I think you know it's bad. Like everybody knows this is bad, but just not how bad. The appreciation for how terrible this position is will maybe inform you to fight a little bit harder so he doesn't get to this spot. Because honestly here, there's no great answer. I mean, the great answer is to hip escape, really. That's going to be most of what the majority of competitors are going to try. Some might try and convert it to a more offensive half guard. But you are losing big time. Oh. So this wasn't such a good option, what you tried in this position. So you're getting smashed. You essentially want to try and turn over here to where my mouse is. I don't think this should be new information per se, but because this crossface, this left arm face underneath your neck is turning you towards the referee, instinctually you kind of are like, oh, maybe I'll just try and push him over. And his base isn't so good. Maybe it might have worked. But this is not going to be so effective most of the time in just a non-technical way, just basically bridging and hoping it works out for the best. Kind of grabbing around here. He just basically mounts at the time that's perfect and is going to get 7. So where it went wrong, this is something that I find that a lot of people have trouble identifying, is where it went wrong. Your conclusions after the match might be, I need to work on my half guard. And this is not half guard. This is like getting smashed. This is nearly just having your guard passed. So let's back it up further. And where is that bottleneck? So the bottleneck is really the bottleneck is what I was saying about getting swept. You need to fight that sweep. But let's just say that the sweep is unavoidable. Let's just accept that for a second, that you couldn't scramble up. This situation needs to be high energy output, frame, hip escape, like your life depends on it, man. Yeah, so you can get some stability, get some positions that you could attack. That is the bottleneck, arguably fighting the sweep as well. Oh, where did we go? Did you retain? So it looks like you're retaining guard. So it's some good escapes. Let's take a look and how you do that. So a bump to bring your elbow on the inside. Oh, nice elevation of the hips. A lot of people don't know this escape very well. So on top. So you can catch a lot of people by surprise. But here's the trick. Here's the trick. And I'm going to start to develop a theme with this analysis. Is that you escaped the mount on a technical level. Yay, good for you. But we didn't go that extra little bit and actually get a position that would be useful to us. Easier said than done, Dan, right? Well, that's where you need to have your energy output. True, you escaped the position right here. Here, maybe you could go single X. He's kind of doing a good job windshield wipering. But this space that is between the two of you, that's where you need to step pedal to the metal and try and get some of that space back so we can attack. There's a good chance that he's going to score another 7 because we don't really have a workable position. Watching that back arm too, but it's pointless. I don't even really want to talk about this position. I want to talk about what are the factors that led us to this position. Oh no, he's going to windshield wiper. Get it back, please. Get the half guard back. Yeah, this is a theme. I remember when I learned this lesson really well. Sadly, it was that purple belt. I was rolling with Honest Gracie. Not really well-known Gracie. Kind of stopped. Got into multi-tiered marketing. Gosh, and Bitcoin. Let us not speak of this anymore. But he was very good at jiu-jitsu, world's medalist. I was rolling with him. I was a belt under. Maybe I was a blue belt. And I was in the half guard. And I just was getting smashed, kind of like you. And I just decided to bridge, just for all that I had, similar to what you did in the first time. And I bridged, and he just like windshield wipered off and mounted or went to side control. And I was like, oh, I forgot to hold on to the half guard. It's like so seemingly basic, and it just didn't seem to click with me until then. Like whatever I'm doing, I have to hold on to the half guard. So here, right there, you released all control of the half guard. And look, here, there's nothing preventing him from a windshield wipe. He like tried. He could just sprawl his leg around, like kick a leg. And it existed here. Like, oh my gosh, you can. That was like way too long, way too slow of a reaction on both of your parts. So just watching that sequence, just that right there, if that's all you gave me, I'd say I'm watching white belts. And let's say I couldn't see the belts. Okay, so we got our guard passed. And vulnerability on the forearm. Ouch, just tap, man. Yeah. Tap a little sooner. Like, when you get to that point, all of your stuff, all of your ish has failed. I like this match. Thank you for sending it to me, because we can see a little bit more, have a little bit more commentary. And fascinating enough, you told me that you went against this guy. I love the double... Again, I love the double chemistry of the match. Yeah, it's the same bald guy. The reason I like it is because I can see how do you adapt as the competitor. Because I know, and you know, we both know the same things here. We've both been exposed to the same level of ish. Is that you know he's going to pull guard, and you immediately got swept. Well, you could probably just wait for him to pull guard and immediately apply like an X pass or a jumping style pass and pass his guard. Or you can try and ankle pick him. Like, how do you adjust? Let's see what you do with the information that you already have about this guy. So gripping up. This doesn't, given your skill level, like waiting it for your skill level, you look fairly comfortable on your feet. Here comes the guard pull. You're going to pass right away. He's going to pull guard. Oh, move, guy. Get out of the way. Again, so slow. I don't really like the class of takedowns that you're going for. I don't think that there is a reliable expectation of being able to take down opponents with the takedown that you are using. What I mean by that is that you have 4 tournament matches to win a decent tournament, 16 people, which isn't even the major ones. Is that, can you expect to go into every one of those 4 matches and hit this trip that you're working for? And the answer is no. This takedown is one that's too easy to stiff arm. It relies a lot on physicality, which you just don't have at this point. There are other takedowns that can more accommodate this style that you have, that you don't need as much explosion into them. All right, this guy's going to pull guard. This guy's going to pull guard right about in 3 seconds is when he pulled guard last time. Okay, so he's wanting to test his stand-up, it looks like. Doesn't look like he's fishing for guard pulling grips. Okay, so we get to see a little bit more from the stand-up. So the chemistry has changed in this match. This could be to your favor. It could not be in your favor. We're about to find out. Reset back in the middle. So I think at this point in your stand-up, you have a plan. It's just not a great plan in the stand-up. Cross collar grip, and then you're working for your left leg, tripping around the back of his left leg. Oh, now we switched ideas, maybe doing the other side. Yeah, this just isn't going to work. Watch it work. I'm saying in general. This guy is pushing into you a ton. You can use this energy to your advantage. And I think overall you're not doing terrible by any stretch. Okay, all right. I like this because we get to see a different dynamic of the match. Oops. All right, I have stuff to say. Hang on. Let's go back. Because this is the most critical area of jiu-jitsu. If you're going to pull guard, the guard pull itself is the most important moment of the match. And what I'm going to look for when you pull guard is how well do you go from the guard pull aspect of it to achieving stability in your position. So let's take a look at that. And by stability, I mean, what I'm looking for is just establishing any type of guard. De la Hiva being a very common one, spider guard, whatever your flavor of the day is, I want to see that. So we have double collar grips, sit, foot on the hip. It looks like your left leg went in between his legs. We don't have a good view of it, but right foot on the hip, and then this foot, I think, made an error. It's not an error. There's no such thing as like this black and white thought. Okay, maybe it did make it to the outside. Oh, no, it's in a bad spot. Oh, that left leg. Here's what you need to do. I think this could work a lot better. De La Riva is a very, very important guard. I don't want to necessarily force everybody to do De La Riva, but you need to yank him in, and with your two grips that you have on top. And particularly important is that your left foot, make it around the outside, like over here on this side, so you can hook his leg or get close guard if he charges forward, then followed by grabbing his ankle. This is the most important area, because here your left leg position is like, oh no, he's going to get his guard pass. He's just going to shuck it by. No positional stability. Still no positional stability. You're very, very defensive, and you might not even recognize it. Here we're getting in, settled in. Okay, we're getting settled in. You're going to try a hook sweep. I'm still nervous about this position. I'm super nervous with how you're doing your hook right now. You're trying a scissor sweep with a hook. Yeah, kind of like why I'm not a huge fan of that sweep. But I should ignore that, because that's probably the most significant thing that you've done in the match out of all that I've seen, like kind of in a neutral position. So basically what you have is butterfly guard with collar and sleeve on the funk side. And then you try and do a hook sweep. Nice job. Is well timed. Hook scissor sweep. Let's call it like a hybrid, because your left one is hooking in between his legs, and then your right leg did a scissor sweep like motion. Now, the problem, how this could have been more successful. A lot of these scissor sweeps are very challenging to establish the top position. However, I think we could have done a few things better. Why didn't this work? This didn't work because you let go of the sleeve. Watch your right arm. Your right arm right here. It lets go of that. That is what's needed to finish this sweep, if you are going to finish it, which you might not have even with that sweep. That really didn't make sense what I just said. It might not have worked anyway, just given how your left leg was positioned. So he stood up. Not bad. So this, like, if I was coaching you, I'd be like, wow, this is quite a gambit in pulling guard. Like, you were offensive. It could have worked, but at the same time, I can see, oh my gosh, my athlete can get his guard passed. Again, it's that kind of stability positions thing. All right, let's see how you adjust. Definitely doing better in this match. And that's largely because this other guy, he should just stick with the same formula. He should pull guard and sweep you. If it worked once, it's going to work again. Or more likely to work again. All right. I was just about to say, I don't think you're going to take this guy down. I don't think you seem reasonably comfortable in the stand-up, but just not offensive enough. So single leg countered with guillotine. By the way, illegal IBJJF in this position. So I don't know if it's IBJJF. All right, just kind of watching to see what's going to happen. I would probably tell you to pull guard again. I bet it's risky. That's super risky. Yeah, these takedowns, they're just not going to work. Do a collar drag. YouTube collar drag. This works well, because if you fail, you just pulled guard, and it can really work nicely. I like collar drag for white belts and for kids a lot. Everybody's gonna have their favorite takedown, but I like collar drag. It's cross collar grip, step forward, stick out your leg, sit down, yank hard, grab a single leg. I like collar drag because it's not quite a judo style. It's not quite a wrestling style. It's just like jiu-jitsu. You can't grab a collar in wrestling because there are no collars. So even though similar techniques exist in wrestling, it's kind of outside that. And obviously, grabbing the legs is not in judo as well. So we kind of exist in our own little realm and can catch people by surprise or outside of their potential experience level. And if we fail, no harm, no foul. Establish guard. Okay, good. So look, we got a good good indication of your left leg position. You pull guard. Now I need this stability position. It looks like we're getting stability. No. So nice reverse tripod sweep. Oh no. See, yeah. So this ended up going very badly. So I would almost like you to just establish a position. It's like here we're almost established in the De La Riva. And there's a balance to be had between attacking right away and finding your stability. And to be honest, at white belt, I would much prefer that the white belts find the stable positions. Get in De La Riva with the collar grip on the funk side. This guy's not going anywhere too fast in the De La Riva. But you put the foot on the cross hip or on the stomach, it looks like, and then swipe out the back leg, push, and then use the grip on the ankle. But it all goes pretty badly for a couple of reasons. You'd really want this right leg of yours to be not as much behind the knee, because it kind of gives them that folding power. And then the really detrimental aspect is that your left leg gets essentially put in a leg drag position when he gets up. So this is not going to go well for you. He's just going to hug and kill. So it's very important. Yeah, here, I'm about to give you a nugget of information. It's very important to look at a sweep objectively and say, what happens when I succeed with the sweep? And in this case, the reverse scissors or a reverse tripod sweep is going to get you 2 points. So it's like, great, that's cool. What happens when this fails is a question that people don't ask themselves a lot. What happens when this fails is that you've lost all of your grips in your positional, in your position that you started from, which is going to be De La Riva in most cases. So you go for the sweep, he gets knocked over, he gets up, that's a common outcome of when it doesn't work, and you have no stability again. So for that reason, it's of medium-high risk when you try it. So this profile I don't really favor, of like a mid-reward with a mid-high risk. So that's a way to interpret like a lens from which to view other sweeps, because we can't get good at everything. Why not focus on a class of movements that has low risk with high reward, or at least more towards that end of the spectrum? Because here we've lost all initiative in the match. Let's see what's going to happen. I'm not really as interested in this part, because this part we've already lost on the bottleneck. Yeah, definitely. There's that high risk aspect for when it doesn't work out. Yeah, a lot of people just plan for success. They don't plan for failure. Let's see if you were able to escape last match. Probably a little bit more gassed. Looks like something does happen. Let's take a look. Even though this is a moot point, these are not the skills that win matches. Maybe 1 out of 20, or even more than that, you're going to be able to rally from this position. Oh my gosh. Super risky on his end. Like, why do that? Okay, so there were a couple of nuggets in this analysis. The first is we need to establish this stop sprint mentality. We need to have a fifth gear during some of these scrambles and when you go for sweeps. You have to summon the hammer of Thor whenever you go for a sweep. It has to be, you have to put everything you have into this very short period of time, and then when you get on top, you tighten up again. Or when he nearly sweeps you, you got to put everything in it in that moment and then go back to cruising. So I address the psychology of that and maybe say a curse word in your head. No way this guy is going to sweep me. Like, you could use your pride if that's something that I don't sense this in your grappling. But pride can be used to fight that. Creating some sort of... but anyways, let's go on to the next thing. The next thing is achieving positions of stability, which is a common theme I have with white belts. You have to find those positional stability and then weighing what sweeps are you going to focus on with a risk-reward benefit. So anyways, I hope that my comments were helpful to you in some way and that we could maybe improve. Actually, before I wrap this up, I think I could maybe suggest to you some drills that you could practice. This is one that I do quite often at my gym to help develop that kind of fight mentality that seems to be lacking. Is let's start yourself on top in daily Hiva and have your opponent apply a tripod sweep to you. Just like a simple tripod sweep. You're obviously familiar with tripod sweeps. And he'll have control of your pants with the tripod sweep. The drill becomes live as soon as your butt hits the mat. So you'll allow him to knock you over. Your butt hits the mat. Boom, it's live. And you win if you're able to just come back on top and not give up points. He wins by scoring points. So you might fight it with putting everything that you have, and he might come up on a single leg. You have to fight that single leg. You get to neutral. Yay, you're the winner. I think this type of training will develop a little bit more of the intensity on those critical areas. So just wanted to maybe suggest that type of drill to practice on a regular basis before I wrap this thing up. Now let's wrap it up. I'd like to say thank you for your donation. It means a lot. And happy rolling.